Go ahead, boss.
All right, calling to order this meeting of the Fredonia Board of Review, Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the roll call.
President Lenz.
Here.
Trustee Abeglin.
Here.
And me, Clerk Johnson. I'm here.
Confirmation of appropriate Board of Review and open meeting notices. Combined open board, OB and BOR notice posted February 18th, 2026. BOR agenda posted April 29th, 2026 on website and 2 posting locations.
Correct.
We need to then select a chairperson for the Board of Review.
I nominate Pete Lenz, President Pete Lenz.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next order of business, select a Board of Review vice chairperson. I nominate Trustee Abeglin.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Sorry.
Verify that at least one board member has met the mandatory training requirements.
All members received training on May 7th, 2026.
Thank you. Verify that the village has an ordinance for the confidentiality of income and expense information provided to the assessor under state law, Wisconsin Statute 70.477 AF, 10529, confidentiality in the Village of Fredonia Code of Ordinances. Review new laws.
None.
None. Thank you. Adoption of amendment to policy regarding the procedure for sworn telephone testimony and sworn written testimony. Policy and Procedure Ordinance 2.01 adopted at the May 21st, 2015 Village Board meeting. Am I stealing your thunder?
A little, but
That's
that's okay.
fine.
We can keep moving. So that policy, that procedure has already been adopted?
Yes.
So we can keep moving.
Adoption of policy regarding the procedure for waiver of Board of Review hearing requests.
That procedure has also already been adopted at the May 21st, 2015 board meeting, village board meeting.
Thank you. Filing and summary of annual assessment report by the assessor's office.
We'll pass that out for you.
Okay, thanks.
And as Taylor's passing those out, Michelle, our assessor's affidavit, thank you, the 2 copies, and just need you to sign both of them, so we don't have to worry about photocopies. And on there is the summary of the book, and I'll send you the ag conversion worksheet to let you know that there was a parcel that was just reclassified.
Yeah.
The church, the cemetery, so we have to formally just state that it's reclassified. As Taylor's going to hand out the summary of what will remain. And then as well as our credentials and you're going to be named, so member of our assessment office is here to review again. These are for 2021.
All right.
We do these for your time.
Thank you.
So what I ask you to do is if you'd like to follow along to our summary here, and they do have an extra one. Give. And then you each have one. Okay. The summary that would be for your community is as of May 19th today. The summary of assessed values, which you can follow along on the next sheet, which gives you the amount of gain for your community from the ending assessment total in 2025 to today's date for 2026. The total gain was $1,868,800. And how we arrive at that is we're starting total is last year's ending assessment, which would be 252,620,100. And then what we do is we correct data. It is not a revaluation year. So what we're working on would be reviewing sales, adding building permit information, anything, say there was a fire at a property that would decrease the value, but if there are building permits, then those would be increases. So if you're looking at the columns from left to right, we had the negative values on the left portion. As you go across to the right, then you're going to have the increases for the community. And column 2 and 3, the heading is 2 and 3. That's for your commercial, or excuse me, for your permit work and your new construction that would be adding to your community. The ending for 2026, if there aren't any objections during the board, would be 254,488,900, which is where we arrive at the gain of the 1.8 million. For 2025, the ratio was 87%. And that's provided by the Department of Revenue every August. For 2026, we don't have that ratio yet until August. But this,
After manufacturing?
no, this would just be for everything but manufacturing. Mhm. And then once that they've reviewed, the Department of Revenue reviews that, compares that to what the sales occurred in the community for 2025, which we also have a copy of all the sales. They review what the sales did and compare it to what the current assessments are for the community, and that's how they determine the level of assessment for your community. So right now you're at 87%, which is below the threshold of the 10%. So we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
And maybe something you want to consider for your community about a revaluation coming up, just a market one. You might want to look into that or let us know what, if you have questions about that. We can also wait and see what August's ratio comes out as, because it isn't an immediate penalty or fine. You do get warned and you have like a 5-year plan to be able to get back, grace period to get back into compliance. Sometimes communities go right back into compliance within a year or so, and that cycle starts all over. So we do have some communities that don't have revaluations right away. We do actually have a community that's been falling in and out of compliance since 2008.
Does the clock start over once you're above that 10%?
Yeah, yeah, it sure does. However, it doesn't do the community a good to not have a revaluation, because then it's not distributing the tax burden equally. Very similar to with the community that has their last revaluation in 2008. Now, things are a little skewed out. They're not uniform anymore.
Right.
So that would be something to kind of take it into consideration as far as a revaluation, because the last one was 2024, which wasn't that long ago, but looking at your sales and what our assessments are looking at might be something to think about for the future. The real estate notice of assessment for changes for 2026 were mailed out on April 7th of 2026, and there were 40 of them. The open book was officially held on April 28th. We had no one contact our office from the time the notices were sent out to even today. And there is the summary of open book actions, which I only provided for Michelle's copy attached to the affidavit because it is 0. And if there wasn't anything to report as far as anything for the open book. The assessor's affidavit, Michelle and her and I each signed it, so that would need to go with your assessment roll. However, there aren't any changes to the assessment roll from what we submitted and provided for you, but it is good to keep that assessor's affidavit in a safe place, either with your board of review material, or if you have a copy of the roll someplace that you want to put it in with the binder. Once the board does adjourn tonight, we will submit the assessment final report to the Department of Revenue. And that adjourns the 2026 year for any value changes. Anything after this date would have to someone would have to appeal to circuit court if they're able to do so, but it does close the books, so to speak, in order for us to make any value changes. And then what we'll be doing is we'll be starting into next year's assessment roll. We'll be starting to work on that, reviewing building permits, gathering information, reviewing sales. So we'll be starting that whole process and working on that. So our assessment office, we do work with property owners throughout the year. It doesn't always have to be during open book time or anything like that. So we always are updating the data. We're providing reports for various people that ask for them, especially for the Department of Revenue. And we continue to assist the property owners and just the general public as well. Sometimes we'll have appraisers contact us for information about your community or reports. So we'll provide that for them as well. So if you have any questions, you feel free to ask myself or my team, Taylor or Zach. So we are here to help you with any of your assessment questions. Otherwise, we can wait for anyone else to appear.
Okay, so just trying to catch up with the agenda. We've received the assessment roll from you, the work roll digitally. I provided it to the board when you sent it through. And at this moment, if you have your tablets or this fine document, we should take a look at it and maybe go through it for any errors or omissions. I can tell you what my work has been so far. I've gone through the 2026, 2025, and 2024 rolls, and I've made a few notes. Don't know if you guys have an opportunity to answer some questions, I think, for the record and for the board as a whole. But I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to look through it, and if you'd like to look through it, now is the chance to do it. So could I ask a few questions of our team? Okay, so and just to point out a few things for the board, it looks like there was a 5% decrease in the value of our ag land. And so I guess, I mean, I understand that that's not in your purview, but like, how much does that fluctuate like over a 10-year period? Can you kind of conjecture about like what we could see in the future? And then that leads to my next question about that land that Hillcrest owns, that part of it, we did like a massive switch last year. And then like, what metrics do you use in determining when the rest of it should be converted from ag use to residential?
Sure. They're all good questions. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you with the ag rates.
Not surprised.
That is all monitored and maintained by the Department of Revenue and the Farmland Credit Bureau.
Mhm.
They are the ones that review, determine what the rates should be, and they are. I don't know.
Change every year.
Yeah.
So do they look every year and fluctuate every year, or is it
Mhm.
something that's like a
They
5-year
do.
cycle?
Yeah, they do change that every year. We get, and it's posted on the Department of Revenue. There is a listing of, the agricultural rates by, grades of the tillable, first, second, third grade tillable and pasture. And every year they give us that, and it's given by county.
And each county is different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Each county is valued differently?
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
can.
Okay.
it can be, sure. So there is a lot of helpful information that the Department of Revenue does have on that. It is something that we're not included on as far as how they determine those rates. They just provide those rates as well as the ag conversion charges. They provide that to us as well. and they usually charge that or provide that information. The end of the year, typically it's in January of each year, once they've done their studies and determined what the rates should be for the year. Mhm. Now, as far as converting the land, what that would need to be is when activity has begun.
Okay.
Not only just that, but more that it's not being tilled. If it isn't being tilled, then we would be converting it over to either residential, commercial, some taxable type of class. Did you have a parcel in particular?
Hang on. See, this is the problem with too many Post-it notes. I'll find one, Rayanne.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, no, that's okay.
And, oh, wait a minute, oh, oh, no. The ones up on Southgate. So here I found one. Should I read it out? Okay. 09089 0066000. Did I read the number wrong?
No,
Oh.
I couldn't see the number.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
So these are at the top of North Milwaukee Street.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No.
Not all of them are zoned agricultural. reason-
So not all of them are classified agricultural, so that's my question, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the metrics? Because there's a huge difference from here to here.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a motivating factor, right? for
Right, I
us.
think that's why they are talking to us. Well, I mean, heck, with the piles of dirt, I don't think you could till it if you wanted to, unless you did it by hand. Shipping a bunch of Amish workers.
We're just taking a look at
Take
the
your time.
GIS aerial, just so we have a whole view
Right,
of the
yeah.
area.
So the ones that were converted, are they the ones that basically border on the areas that are currently built up? And then these ones that weren't converted are further outfield? If, I don't think I've seen a tractor go across any of that stuff.
We do check on the agricultural parcels annually,
Okay.
and we did check this one in November of 2025.
Okay,
And we had noted that it was being tilled.
okay.
So then that does remain agriculture. There can be a time where there may be a year they don't till it for, maybe it was something with the rain season or dry season, but.
If they wanted to leave it fallow for a year so that, there's,
Exactly.
and,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
right, all right.
General ag practices are considered when we're looking at ag land. Obviously, you're gonna have, like you said, the fallow years, crop rotation problems. It's when it's consistently not being tilled. Or
Right.
if there's obvious development changes, like if they're bringing in dirt or they actually bring in laterals and sewer lines.
So that's
or
it,
Putting in a
yeah.
road.
Okay.
That's gonna be your main indicator that ag activity is stopped.
Okay, so that's my next question, right? So, I think there is going to be some movement up there, at least over the next 2 years, right? And so it's possible that the road goes in before they start building, right? Or at least some of that infrastructure goes in. So is that a moment, even if it's still being tilled, is that a moment that you would look at a conversion, or if it continues to be?
Well, now it can't typically be tilled if they're working on bringing in roads, sewer laterals and everything. So it's either one or the other.
Okay,
Versus because they
So-
manage home.
right.
Yeah,
Then it could theoretically still be tilled if it is actively being tilled.
Okay.
but we have another community in which they have an ag parcel. And they stopped tilling to bring in, say, dirt to get it prepared. That is no longer ag use. It's not being used for agricultural purposes.
But if you have concerns about it, you can certainly let us know.
Mhm.
It's all based on the status of the property as of January first as
Mhm.
well, so if as of January first or, fall of the year prior, winter frost and whatever. If it was actively being tilled and then all of a sudden say like June or July is when the development started, it would
Then-
be looked at for the next tax season of the next year.
Okay. Okay.
So like if they're going to, like she was saying, doing something, maybe in May, June, July here. And we follow up in fall, we'll see that activity, well then, January 1 of 2027 is when we would
We'll
look
see
at
that.
converting it.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for that
Oh,
clarification.
you're welcome.
All right. Oh, and so I just also wanted to ask, like, I don't want to like bore everybody, but I wanted to ask about, so new builds, because we're having, a little, like I said before the meeting, we're having a little bit of a boom in Fredonia, right? And we're going to see kind of a lot of new construction over the next 12 months. And we had one last year. It's the first new house that's been built in my tenure. So should I read the parcel number or should I just ask my question? It is 954 Ridgeway Circle.
Needs to be my neighbor.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful home. But it is one of the highest valued homes in the village, right? And I see that the owner did not respond to your requests for, inspection or review or whatever your process is. So I was just wondering if you could share some of the metrics that you use to get to that value. For my own edification and so that when residents call and have questions, as we start developing, in the northern portion.
For a new home, it depends on, whether it is the owner that purchased the vacant lot and is having a contractor build the house, or if they purchased the home already built and it's a recently new construction, say they refer to it as a spec home.
Okay.
We will look at the sale price of that spec home. If that's the situation.
To calculate the assessed value.
Assessment, because the assessed values have to be at or near fair market value, and the sale of a property indicates fair market value.
Okay,
Now, if it's the other situation where the property owner they purchased the lot and they're gonna have it built, we will look at the building permit costs. That's why we were always adamant about please providing the costs
Right.
of the permits, because if we get a property owner that does not respond, we need to gather as much information as we can to make an assessment decision on there. We'll also use the building plans. So we'll gather all that information, the size of the property or the home. Obviously, the year built is going to be new, all the different attributes of the home. And we will look at the building permit costs, but we'll also look at comparable properties. And that will help us set the assessment. And then we'll send out the assessment notice, and if the property owner at that time will perhaps want to appeal.
yeah.
Because
opinions.
it might be higher than what they stated, but they didn't respond to us, so we're doing, all of our pieces together, and there's some things we may have to assume. And we assume them high because we don't know what they have,
Mhm.
and there's some reason that they maybe didn't want to respond to us, but if they don't, we have to do some guessing on that, and a lot of times the information just might be wrong. So we
Right.
always encourage them we're trying in their best interest to get as much information as we can to place this value, and it's to their advantage.
Right.
So,
I
does
do
that help
believe
answer
it's-
your question?
Thank you. Yes. So I think I understand, right? So if it's a spec home that is built and a new owner buys it, right? You're gonna use the sale price to kind of figure
Yeah,
out what that
guideline for-
investment
yeah.
value should be. But if it's a new home that's being built with a developer or a
Right.
general contractor, you're
Mhm.
gonna wanna see it, or you're gonna contact the owner to do an inspection and then base the assessment on what you see in the home.
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's
Th-
great.
This house, I believe, was that kind of a case.
Yeah, he built it.
He built it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, I have a couple more questions. I'm gonna go so quick. And maybe you can't answer, and I also want to point out a few things for the board. So I think I asked about this in an email, managed forest land. You guys have no oversight over that and you can't speak at all about
Correct.
why 1 year it would be 69 and the next year it's 0.
Correct. It just
Okay.
depends on the program that they're enrolled in.
Okay.
And that is,
Owned by the
Right.
DNR.
yeah.
The DNR.
The DNR, so the
Okay.
Department of Natural Resources, the owner has to work with the Department of Natural Resources on their forest land and if they can be accepted into the program. The DNR determines all of that,
Okay.
and then they tell us what they're doing.
Like how many acres are in the program and all of.
And
type.
and that changes year over year. The DNR reviews it and then there's a change year over year if
It can.
applicable.
Mhm.
It depends
They
what
can.
program you're in and how long the program goes. So
Okay.
sometimes you might have a property that loses its status and then gains it the next year because they reapplied.
Ah.
It all just depends on the program length
Okay.
and that's all based on the DNR.
Okay. Thanks. And then, for our edification team, I just wanted to point out a few, fun wins this year. So Corsa Technic, finished their, major, renovation, and their new value is up almost $70,000. So that's, great. And then, there's a few little things in here that I noted, a garage that was raised, but a new one being built. And then, we can, if we look, we can see all of the work that we did at the board level with the CSMs, for, Jen's Place and Bruce Pappy and the village, that kind of reorganization of, those lots and the redistribution of that value. So that was kind of interesting. Okay, and then we have some new tax exempt parcels, sale. Port Washington State Bank, finished their construction this year. And their value is up from $748,000 to, $1.2 million. So that was a little thrill for me. So one thing I did want to just say for the record while we're all here together is that the 401 Fredonia Ave that had a significant fire last year. Oh, pizza's here. Had a significant fire last year. We saw some recoup of value this year. We should see it fully restored next year.
Can you put them on the table over there, please?
Thanks. And then 139 Fox Glen Road, the site of the tactical incident here in Fredonia, we saw a significant decrease in value for obvious reasons.
Mm.
So we're gonna be keeping an eye on that parcel. And then the most exciting thing that I felt, the assessment role shows, is development in the TIG. And again, the problem with too many posted notes, is that now I can't find it. But Yasserowski finished one of his buildings, this year.
Yes.
Last year, his parcel was valued at $39,000. This year, with 1.25 buildings completed, it's valued at $508,000. And the reason that's exciting for us is because the minimum valuation that we have tied to in this developers agreement was $150,000. So that's not
Coming in
significant.
way high above that.
And that's not even a completed project.
Right.
So that's really good news. So that's my takeaway from the role. I didn't find any errors or omissions. Mayan and Taylor answered all of my questions, that I had just in terms of bookkeeping and record keeping. So I'm fairly confident.
I appreciate all the work you put into looking through this. I mean, I tried looking through it and my eyes start to bug out because I'm not familiar with this kind of thing at all. But I do appreciate that you put some time and effort into this and brought up some important questions.
Okay. Moving along,
Moving along.
unless anybody has questions.
So we are at 15 here, or just finished 15?
So we've examined the role. We found no
No error.
description or calculation errors, no omitted properties, no doubly assessed properties. One thing that I thought was interesting, I don't know, maybe if you guys have any insight into it, is that that new condo parcel has two parcel numbers and it's one parcel. So how does that work, right?
Actually, what they have is the condominium, the land is shared by all the unit owners.
Okay,
So in that instance, I believe there's just two, it's like a side by side.
yeah,
So they each have a 50% shared interest in that whole parcel.
okay,
They own only their portion of the building. So we have to have a separate parcel number just for the improvement value. And then they own, there's 50% calculated for the land portion. So they would each have equally land assessment. But the building is going to be different because they may have different, their half might be different size or different amenities, such as one may have 2 bathrooms, the other may have 3. But that's according to the condominium declarations that are recorded at the Register of Deeds office. And so that parcel, according to the declarations, must be splitting the improvements. But the land, all property owners, whether there's 2 or 50, all have an interest in that land.
okay.
So there would be a property was a number for the land itself and then for each unit?
No, the land would go with each unit. Actually, the valuation would go, but then the real property lister has like a place marker for the acreage, because we can't actually split that acreage between them. We're splitting the land value
Right.
only. So the 2 parcel numbers are going to hold your land value and all your improvement data and improvement value. And then there's a place marker, is what the real property lister refers to, is where it holds the number of acres associated with that condominium, but that place marker doesn't have a value. It's referred to as common area. So there is common area open or available, I should say, to all unit owners. That.
No,
Okay.
Okay. The next item is to certify all corrections. There were no corrections. Verify that open book changes are included in the assessment roll. There were no open book changes. Allow taxpayers to examine the assessment data. We are available until 7 o'clock. Anybody who wishes to come in may examine the assessment data. And then during the first 2 hours, we'll review waivers of 48-hour notice, intent to file an objection. We have none so far. Waivers to waive the BOR hearings, we have none so far. Requests to testify by telephone or submit a written sworn statement, we have none so far. No subpoena requests, and no any other legally allowed or required BOR matters during the first 2 hours. Right now, we have nothing to act on. We are available until 7 p.m. for residents who would like to come in. I think at this time, President Lenz, it would be appropriate to stop the recording. If somebody comes in, we will turn it back on. Otherwise, we'll be back at 10 to 7.
I agree with that.
Okay.
All right, we're restarted the recording because we are near the end of the meeting. The next item on the agenda, proceed to hear objections, if any, and if proper notices, waivers were given unless scheduled for another date. And in this case, we've had none.
No objections were
No
made.
objections. All right. Next item on the agenda, consider or act on scheduling additional Board of Review dates with no objections or waivers or anything else. There is no reason to schedule another Board of Review. And that brings us to what should be the end of the meeting. So we need to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
We should wait patiently until 7 o'clock.
All right,
So
we will
that
wait
residents
patiently
have
until
had
7 o'clock.
Their full 2-hour opportunity to make their objections.
Those two items went a lot faster than. We could have waited enough. That's. Sorry, everybody gets to look at our pretty faces for 2 minutes. If they don't have pizza.
Well, there we go. Make sure there's nothing in the old soup strainer.
Gotcha.
Now, in the wintertime, it's nice though, keeps the chin warm.
Aw.
Hides those double chins too. $6.59. Just
I have
enough.
a second hand sweep, so get ready to make a motion.
Thank you.
15 seconds left.
Enunciate properly.
All right, make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning the Board of Review? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The board is adjourned. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, ladies.
Oh.
So grateful for your time tonight. Really
No,
appreciate it.
yeah.